Today's video is going to be a bit different. As you can see from the title, I'm going to redesign the My Little Pony Equestria girls. So, redesign is a bit inaccurate, perhaps reimagining is a better way to put it. I don't know if I've ever shared this on my channel before, but one of my greatest passions is actually art. I love drawing, and it was during 2020 when the panorama happened that I truly got around and actually practicing. This sketchbook is one that I have been using for years. In it is the initial sketch that I made a couple of years back of the girls, and it's what inspired this video. Just a quick disclaimer, I am well aware that this is not an original video idea. I know there has been numerous videos that are just like this, and this video is also less of a critique and more of a reimagining if these characters were tasked to me and I were to design them in my own imaginary world for them. So I actually made a Pinterest board for each of the girls, and I thought a cute challenge would be to imagine each girl as if they were a fashion aesthetic. In case you guys don't know, My Little Pony Equestria Girls is a show of an alternate world of Equestria and My Little Pony where the human counterparts of the ponies coexist. For Twilight, I feel like she has to be a dark academia girly, and a side note before anyone comes for me, I will be keeping the original color palette of the girls, and that includes their hair color. So silhouette and style will adhere to the aesthetic, but the color palette has to be true to their pony version still. If you really think about it, there's actually two versions of Twilight in Equestria Girls. The pony Twilight turned human and a human Twilight. Today, I will be designing the latter. Human Twilight in the friendship games has a similar arc to Pony Twilight. She is exactly like how Pony Twilight was in the beginning of My Little Pony. She is very studious and intelligent, but she also lacks social skills, nor does she see the value of friendship. I wanted to kind of communicate that through her pose and facial expression. I'm not the best at stylization or exaggeration, but this is the best smug look that I can possibly give her. I was trying really hard to hammer in that she is a bookish character by having her have a book in both poses. In all honesty, these books should be thicker, but I digress. At the start of this video, I had no intentions of changing the plot, but then as I kept drawing, I kept on thinking about the storyline and how these girls would be like if they were human. So I thought to myself, what if we diverge from the school setting that they are in and have them be actual adults? Okay, so imagine this. Twilight is a fresh graduate from Canterlot. As a young scientist, she is eager to make new discoveries and make a name for herself in the field of science. And eventually, after she heard a series of unexpected and mysterious activities in a particular town, she decides out of pure curiosity that it would be perfect to investigate. But what caused these series of events in the first place? Well, it all starts when a certain someone decides to steal the crown of the Princess Twilight of Equestria in her sleep, leaving the princess with no choice but to create a portal and travel to the dimension that the burglar took the crown to. I'm pretty sure those who have watched the movies already know where this is going. As you can see, there could still be a similar plot where Sunset Shimmer steals the crown and rules over the human version of Ponyville, and eventually, due to the magic activity that's going on, it drew the human Twilight to investigating the place. So you see where I'm going with this? I know that it's probably more strategic to have the girls in a high school setting. That way it's easier for them to actually be together and like hang out. But the storyline also has a lot of potential. If it's done right with the right actors, animation, and writing, I really think that this could be a huge hit. Next is Miss Rarity. I loved Rarity as a kid. She is definitely the girliest of the group, and I absolutely adore her. I have to admit though, her aesthetic was the hardest to pin down. I think it's because I really wanted to get her aesthetic right. After much scrolling, I finally settled on classy vintage designer. I don't even know if that's a real aesthetic, but all I know is I want her to have endless amounts of vintage designer stuff. If we think about the timeline of the story, Rarity is probably still at the beginning of her career because almost all of the girls are fresh graduates. She's just starting her small business in town, but eventually when she reaches the pinnacle of her career, this is what she would look like. Classy girl boss dominating the fashion industry in her early 30s. And you know what? I'm here for it. I made her a bit curvier than the other girls and more petite in frame because I don't really know why, but for some reason while I was drawing her, Sabrina Carpenter keeps on popping up in my mind. That's probably because I used Sabrina as a reference on the drawing on the left, and they're also a bit alike, like they have the same wit and charisma. In the beginning, I initially planned to have all of the girls stand up and be in, a ready pose or a walking pose of some sort in order to really show off their outfits. But as I kept going and going, I just kind of went with whatever pose that I could see that best suits their character. And it just so happened that I came across this one on Pinterest, and I just thought that the pose and the setting and all of that, it's just too perfect for Rarity. This is also the time when I started to form the storyline for the girls and completely forgot about the high school setting. This also explains why Rarity and the two other girls after her are very different compared to Twilight because of the unexpected changes in the storyline. Sometimes it's really unavoidable to have unexpected changes, so maybe in the future I can redraw Twilight to make her fit the story better. Now let's talk about her outfit. On the right, I gave her a Chanel jacket. I just found this on Pinterest. Actually, I'm not so sure if it's actually Chanel, but I'm thinking it is because it's very Chanel coded. I drew her jacket the exact same way as the reference. I just think the fit and the look of it was perfect for Rarity. The only changes I made was to have it in Rarity's colors. That's why later on I'm gonna fill this in with white and blue accents. For the skirt, I was initially just gonna give her a dark skirt, but then I thought why not make it sequined, and as a last minute decision I gave her some beautiful gloves and some knee-high boots. Initially I was supposed to give her a purple designer dress that Dua Lipa wore, but then I saw this other photo and I just really loved the neckline. The sheer simplicity and elegance of this dress really captivated me. So by the end of it, I decided to go with this dress instead. I also thought that it would be a cool idea to give her a electric blue graphic liner. This is another one of those spontaneous ideas that I just came up with as I was drawing, and I have zero regrets. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous on her, especially with the shadows. It really complements her eye color and her blue accents. I think by having her wear a simpler dress, I was able to have more fun and be more creative when it comes to her makeup look. So I think it's a fair trade-off. Coloring the telephone with red was kind of a last-minute decision of mine, and I could not be happier with the results. Technically, it's not really a part of her palette, but it's such a great pop of color that complements the piece that I just had to keep it red. To tie it with the whole drawing even more, I also added hints of red to her nails and lipstick. One of my fave things about her is probably the blue liner. It just looks so pretty. I imagine that the one on the right is what you would wear on day-to-day work, and the one on the left is something that you would rock on a red carpet. And with that, she's done. This might be my favorite so far. Next is Fluttershy, and she will be having cottagecore. I see a lot of people giving Fluttershy strong boho vibes. I totally get it. Another aesthetic that would suit her would probably be a natural aesthetic, like running in the woods barefoot and barefaced vibes. But that one scene where her and Rarity were doing their nails really convinced me that she would be the type of person that would be into fashion and dressing up. Maybe not as intense as Rarity, but still interested nonetheless. So for her outfit, I definitely think that she would be the most modest of the group. For her wardrobe, I mostly included long flowy linen dresses, cardigans, knitwear, bows, and pastel or light colors. The first look that I'm landing in right now is straight up out of Pinterest. I didn't really change anything about the pose and the outfit itself because why fix something when it's not broken? For her full body pose though, I give her a cute little cardigan and a long, beautiful flowy dress. Among the girls, she is definitely the shortest, with Rarity being a close second. I also made her a bit smaller because I remember in an episode showing the kid versions of the main six, she was one of the smaller ponies. And I don't know if I remember it correctly, but I believe that she was bullied quite heavily for that. And I just kind of want to create a version of Fluttershy where she is more assured of herself regardless of what grade she is in. After doing the line work, it is now time to fill her in with colors. Like I said earlier, the palette for her is very bright and pastel. For her close-up, she has this beautiful cream jumper. However, by the end, it kind of became a banana yellow, which I don't really mind. To tie it in with the color palette, I made her overalls a little bit brighter than the reference photo. It's more of a bubblegum pink and less of a soft mauve. And I also gave her some cute little pastel ribbons. The green accent definitely works really well with the pink and yellow combo, so I'm really happy about that. To add a bit of texture, I used vertical and horizontal brushes to mimic the ribbed texture of knitwear. I'm not sure how effective it is, but I think it definitely adds more dimension. I also want to take the moment to appreciate the sitting pose that she is in. This is another reason why I'm really glad that I didn't limit myself into standing poses, because this interaction between Fluttershy and this cute little bunny is just so adorable. I think it communicates her personality really well and her love and compassion for animals. In my canon, her human version runs a humble homestead in a less populated part of town where she spends her days alone with the animals. Perhaps not as big as Applejack's family, but it's enough for her and the animals. She could also be a vet that runs a local animal shelter because I believe that's one of her biggest dreams. I will not lie to you, Fluttershy is a character that I kind of underappreciated as a kid. But now as an adult, I can fully understand and appreciate her strength. I also like how she eventually learned to stick up for herself and be more vocal when it comes to her feelings. That's honestly all I could ask for her human version. Okay, that was a tangent, but she is done. I love her color palette. On to our last girl. We now have Applejack. In terms of choosing the aesthetic for her, she was probably the easiest among the four because the one and obvious choice is of course the farmer aesthetic. I don't know who made a real life occupation into a fashion aesthetic, but it matches Applejack really well, so we're just gonna roll with it. Just like Applejack in my initial sketch, I wanted her to be buff and muscly. My inspo for her is Luisa from Encanto. I love her character design so much. It ties perfectly to her supernatural strength ability, and it so happened that Applejack has the same powers in the movies. I actually think that Applejack is the only character that has a right to not really be a fashion girly. I mean, obviously she can be, but on a daily when she's out working her butt off, the look of her clothes would not exactly matter to her. That's why I made her outfits the most practical and casual among the group. In her full body pose, she's in work mode, so I gave her a tank top, some overalls, and rain boots. And of course, how can I forget her iconic cowgirl hat. For her casual outfit though, she is sporting a linen gingham oversized button-up, a tank, and a pair of worn-out jeans. To make it more Apple, I gave her her braids and hid some cute little details on her fit that were made of apples. If you look closely, I actually did this for all of the girls. Her character in the story is going to be a cop. The cop archetype really aligns with her element, which is honesty. On her off days, she helps at her family's farm, but when she's on duty, she takes it very, very seriously. I imagine that she would be one of the first people that Pony Twilight meets to help her in finding her stolen crown. I can already picture out her look of pure disbelief as Twilight explains where she came from. But being the good cop that she is, she helps her out anyway, and that pretty much kickstarts their friendship. We're about to reach the end of this drawing. In retrospect, I definitely should have made her a lot tanner, and I also wish I made her outfit and boots a lot muddier. It only makes sense because she spends a lot of time under the sun. The ground that she walks on is mostly dirt. But alas, I'm still happy with how she turned out. And that is all I have for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. This is what the girls look like together. I love how they look like they belong in one universe. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any ideas for the rest of the 3 girls. And I'll see you in the next one.